Welcome back to the channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1, wait, is this actually real? A $50 you've probably seen 100 times, could be worth thousands, maybe even more, just because of one tiny detail. I'm talking about the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50, the famous bicentennial coin with that dual date that instantly catches your eye. 1776. 1976, at first glance, it looks like nothing special, just another old coin, a little worn, maybe sitting in a drawer, or tossed into a jar with loose change, but flip it over, and suddenly it feels different. That drummer boy design, the torch, the stars, it already stands out. But here's the part nobody tells you. Some of these coins are hiding values that will shock you. Picture this: a waitress in Nevada, counting her tips after a long shift, mostly bills, a few coins, and one Kennedy $50 mixed in. She almost spends it the next day, but something about it makes her pause. Maybe it's the shine, maybe the weight, something just feels off, so she keeps it, looks it up later, checks a few details, and that single coin ends up selling for over $4,000. Now you're probably thinking, what made that one so special? Here's exactly what you need to do, and don't rush this. Because the difference between 50 cents and thousands comes down to details most people never notice. First, look at the edge of the coin. This is huge. Most 1776 to 1976 $50 have a copper-colored stripe along the edge, kind of brownish when you tilt it. But if your coin looks solid silver all the way around, no copper showing, stop right there, because you might have a 40% silver version, and that alone makes it far more valuable. Now hold the coin under a bright light, tilt it slowly. Does it look dull and flat, or does it reflect light, almost like a mirror, especially in the fields around Kennedy's face? That mirror-like shine, even if it's subtle, could mean you've got a proof or proof-like coin, and collectors love those. Next, zoom in on Kennedy's hair, the cheek, the lettering. Do you see sharp, crisp details, or does everything look soft and worn? Those sharp details, that clean strike, that's what separates a common coin from a collectible one. Now flip it to the drummer boy side. Look closely at the drum, the sticks, the lettering around the edge. If everything looks bold, deeply defined, almost like it was freshly stamped, your coin just got a lot more interesting. And now, the hidden jackpot, errors. Look at the dual date. 1776, 1976, do you see any doubling, like a shadow effect, a slight overlap in the numbers? Check Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look doubled or thicker than usual, that's not damage, that's a mint error. Also look at the alignment. If the design is slightly off-center, even just a bit, that can push the value way up. Here's what makes this insane. Millions of these coins were made for the bicentennial, which is exactly why people ignore them, but only a tiny fraction are silver, or proof-like, or have those rare errors, and most of those are still out there, hiding in plain sight, in old coin jars, piggy banks, drawers, even cash registers. That means right now, you could be holding one of the most overlooked valuable coins in America, and not even realize it. And here's the urgency: collectors are actively hunting these. The best ones are getting pulled out of circulation every single year. And once they're gone, they're locked away, so don't wait. Check your change, check your old coins, check that random stash you haven't touched in years, because the difference between 50 cents and thousands could be sitting right in front of you. Top 2, wait, a modern $50, from the late 90s, could actually be worth thousands. Are you serious right now? It sounds impossible, because the 1998 P. Kennedy $50 looks so ordinary, so recent, so easy to ignore, that most people don't even think twice about it. No silver shine, no ancient history, just a normal-looking coin with John F. Kennedy on the front, and the presidential seal on the back, something you'd expect to be worth exactly 50 cents, and that's exactly why people miss it, because hidden inside a tiny number of these coins are features so rare, so subtle, that collectors are willing to pay serious money. Let me tell you something that doesn't sound real. A bank teller in Illinois was sorting through rolled coins. Routine, boring, the same thing every day. She opens one roll of $50, sees mostly the usual, slightly worn coins, nothing exciting. Then one catches her eye. Not because it looked flashy, but because it looked cleaner, sharper. Almost like it didn't belong with the others, she pulls it aside, takes a closer look after her shift, and that one decision turns into a sale of over $2,000. So what did she see? What are you supposed to look for? First, check the mint mark. You're looking for a small P under Kennedy's neck. That means Philadelphia. And yes, millions were made, but don't stop there. Now hold the coin under a light. Tilt it slowly, watch how it reflects. Most 1998 P coins look flat, kind of dull, but rare. Ones, they shine back at you, almost like a mirror, especially in the open areas around the design. That mirror-like surface, even slightly, is a huge clue. Now zoom in on Kennedy's face, the hair, the jawline, the lettering around the edge. Do you see crisp, sharp lines, or does everything look soft and blended? Those razor-sharp details mean a strong strike, and collectors pay attention to that. Flip it over, look at the eagle, the shield, the tiny arrows and olive branch. If those details pop, if they look bold and deeply defined instead of faded, your coin just became a lot more interesting. Now here's where things get exciting, because this is what most people completely overlook. Check for errors, look closely at the date, 1998, do you see any doubling, like a faint shadow, almost like the numbers were stamped twice? Check Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look thicker, slightly duplicated, that's not damage, that's a mint error, and errors, even tiny ones, can turn a normal coin into something collectors will fight over. Also check alignment. If the design is slightly off-center, even just a bit, that can push the value way up. And don't ignore the edge, run your finger along it. If it feels unusually sharp and clean, that's another subtle sign of a higher quality coin. Here's the crazy part, because this coin is so modern, people assume it can't be valuable, so they spend it, ignore it, or leave it sitting in jars without ever checking. But that's exactly why rare versions still exist in circulation, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice. That means right now, there could be a 1998 P. Kennedy $50 in your house, worth far more than you think, and you wouldn't even know unless you checked. And here's the urgency. Collectors are actively searching for high-grade and error coins from this year. The best ones are disappearing into collections. And every year they get harder to find, so don't wait, check your change. Check your bank rolls, check that old stash of coins you forgot about, because the difference between 50 cents and thousands could be sitting right there. Top 3, wait, a coin from 1973, a simple $50 most people ignore, could actually be worth thousands of dollars today. Is that even real? It is, and it starts with the 1973 Kennedy $50, a coin that looks so ordinary, so common, that people barely give it a second glance. No flashy gold, no obvious rarity, just John F. Kennedy on the front, the presidential seal on the back, and a dull silver color that blends in with every other coin. But here's the part that shocks collectors. Most of these coins were never meant to circulate widely, which means the ones that did, especially in high condition, are far more valuable than people realize. Let me tell you a story that sounds almost unbelievable. A man in New Jersey was going through an old box of coins his father left behind. Nothing organized, just loose change collected over decades. He finds a 1973 Kennedy $50, scratched, worn, nothing exciting. He almost skips it, moves on, but something about the date catches his attention. He looks it up, checks a few details, sends it in for evaluation, and weeks later, that coin sells for over $3,500. So what did he see that everyone else missed? Here's exactly what you need to do, and don't rush this, because the smallest detail can mean the biggest difference. First, check the mint mark, look closely under Kennedy's neck. You'll see either a D or an S, or sometimes no mark for Philadelphia. Now here's where it gets interesting. Many 1973 $50 were only released in mint sets, not everyday circulation, which means high-quality examples are much harder to find. Next, hold the coin under a bright light, tilt it slowly. Does it look dull and flat, or does it shine back at you, almost like a mirror? Especially in the smooth areas, that reflective surface, even slightly, could mean you're holding a proof or near-proof quality coin, and that's where value jumps. Now zoom in on Kennedy's face, the hair, the jawline, the lettering. Do you see crisp, sharp lines, Or does everything look soft and blended, those sharp details, that clean strike? That's what collectors are hunting for. Flip it over, look at the eagle, the shield, the arrows, the olive branch. If those details are bold, deeply defined, almost carved, your coin just got a lot more interesting. Now here's where things go from interesting to unbelievable. Check for errors. Look at the date, 1973. Do you see any doubling, like a shadow effect, a slight overlap in the numbers? Check Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look doubled or thicker than normal, that's a mint error, and that's where serious money comes in. Also check the alignment. If the design is slightly off-center, even just a bit, that can multiply the value instantly. And don't ignore the edge, run your finger along it. If it feels unusually sharp and clean, that's another subtle clue most people never notice. Here's what makes this crazy: because these coins weren't heavily circulated, many people assume they're common and ignore them, but high-grade examples, or coins with errors, are much scarcer than you'd think, and collectors are constantly searching for them. That means right now, there could be a 1973 Kennedy $50 sitting in your house, worth far more than 50 cents, and you wouldn't even know unless you checked. And here's the urgency: every year, more of these coins get locked away in collections, fewer remain available, and prices keep climbing. So don't wait, check your coins today, check old mint sets, check drawers, check anywhere coins might be hiding, because the difference between a common coin and a rare one could come down to one tiny detail. Top 4. Wait, are you telling me a beat-up $50 from the 1960s, the kind people ignore or spend without thinking, could actually be worth thousands of dollars today? Yeah, and it starts with the 1967 Kennedy $50, a coin that looks simple, worn, maybe even a little boring at first glance. You've probably seen one before, that soft silver shine. John F. Kennedy staring forward, the eagle on the back, nothing that screams hidden treasure, and that's exactly why people miss it, because the real value is hiding in details so small, so easy to overlook, that most coins like this get spent every single day. Let me tell you something that sounds unreal. A guy in Michigan was helping his uncle clean out an old garage, dusty shelves, forgotten boxes, years of stuff piled up. Inside a small tin can, loose coins, mostly pennies and nickels. And one 1967 Kennedy $50, scratched, dull, nothing special. He almost ignored it, almost, but something about the weight, the color, felt different, so he kept it, checked it later, and that one decision turned into a sale of over $3,000. Now you're probably thinking, how, what made that coin different? Here's where you need to slow down, because this is where the treasure hunt begins. First, look at the edge of the coin. This is huge. Unlike modern $50, the 1967 version contains 40% silver, which means the edge won't show that strong copper stripe you see on newer coins. If your coin looks more solid silver all the way around, that's your first sign you're holding something better than face value. Now hold it under a bright light, tilt it slowly, watch how it reflects. Most worn coins look dull, flat, lifeless, but some 1967 halves, especially higher quality ones, reflect light in a smooth, almost glowing way. That subtle shine can mean a higher grade coin. And that's where collectors start paying attention. Now zoom in on Kennedy's face, the hair, the jawline, the lettering around the edge. Do you see crisp, sharp lines, or does everything look soft and blended? Those sharp details, that clean strike, can separate a common coin from a valuable one instantly. Flip it over, look at the eagle, the shield, the feathers. If those details are bold, deeply defined, almost carved, your coin just became a lot more interesting. Now here's where things go from interesting to unbelievable. Check the date, 1967, and the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Do you see any doubling, like a faint shadow, a slight overlap in the letters or numbers? That's a mint error, and that's where values can jump fast. Also check alignment. If the design is slightly off-center, even just a bit, that can turn a regular coin into something collectors fight over. And don't ignore the surface. If it looks unusually smooth, or has a strange texture compared to normal coins, that could be another rare variation. Here's the crazy part: millions of these coins were made, but because they contain silver, many were hoarded, melted, or heavily used. that means high-quality examples, or coins with rare errors, are much harder to find today, and some of them are still out there, hiding in old jars, drawers, boxes, places nobody has checked in years. That means right now, you could be sitting just a few steps away from a coin worth hundreds, maybe thousands. And you wouldn't even know unless you looked closely. And here's the urgency: silver coins are disappearing fast, collectors are hunting them every day, and the best ones are getting locked away in private collections. So don't wait, check your coins, check your parents' stash, check anywhere loose change might be hiding, because the difference between 50 cents and a serious payday could come down to one tiny detail. Top 5. Wait, what if I told you a coin sitting in your pocket change right now could secretly be worth thousands, and you've probably ignored it your whole life? It all starts with the 1973 D. Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, slightly worn, dull silver tone, easy to mistake for something worth 50 cents. On the front you've got John F. Kennedy, calm, iconic, unchanged for decades, and on the back, the presidential seal, nothing flashy, nothing that screams hidden treasure, and that's exactly why people miss it, because the real value is hiding in details so small, so subtle, that most people spend it without ever looking twice. Let me tell you something that sounds unbelievable. A college student in Ohio was sorting through his dad's old coin collection, dusty folders, random jars, decades of forgotten change. He pulls out a 1973 D. Kennedy half-dollar. Scratched, slightly dirty, nothing special. He almost puts it back, almost ignores it. But something tells him to check it online. That one coin, later sold for over $2,800. Now you're probably thinking, how? It looks so normal. That's the trap, because value isn't always obvious, it's hidden in the tiniest details. First, grab your coin and look for the mint mark, just under Kennedy's neck. You should see a small D. That means Denver. Millions were made, so that alone doesn't make it rare. But don't stop there. Now hold it under a bright light, tilt it slowly, watch the surface react. Most worn coins look flat, lifeless, but some 1973 D halves show a smoother, cleaner reflection, almost like a soft mirror in certain areas. That subtle shine can signal a higher quality strike, and collectors pay attention to that immediately. Now zoom in on Kennedy's face, especially the hair, jawline, and cheek. Do you see soft, worn lines, or sharp details? Almost like every strand of hair is carved. That sharpness is a big deal, because it means the coin was struck with stronger definition. Flip it over, look at the eagle, the shield, the tiny feathers. If those details are bold, deep, and clean instead of mushy, your coin just moved into a more valuable category. Now here's where things get serious, and where most people completely miss the jackpot. Check the date, 1973, and the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. Do you see any doubling? Like a faint shadow behind the letters or numbers? That's not damage, that's a mint error, and that's where real money starts showing up. Also check alignment. If the design is slightly off-center, even just a little, that can increase value dramatically. And don't forget the edge. Run your finger along it. If it feels unusually clean and sharp compared to other coins, that's another clue you don't want to ignore. Here's what makes this coin so dangerous. In the best way, it's common enough that people don't care, but rare enough in high condition or with errors that collectors are constantly hunting for it. That means it slips through hands every single day, spent at stores, tossed into jars, forgotten in drawers. Right now, there could be one sitting in your house, worth far more than 50 cents, and you wouldn't even know it. And here's the urgency. Collectors are actively pulling these out of circulation, and the best examples are disappearing fast into private collections. So don't wait. Check your coins, check old change, check anywhere coins might be hiding, because one tiny detail could change everything. And just when you think this is the peak, there's another Kennedy half-dollar, even rarer, with a hidden variety so powerful, that when it shows up at auction, it doesn't just sell, it shocks the entire room into silence.